The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You know, this JT Miller guy, back in my day, there was a guy named Ryan Kesler. You know, he really reminds me of JT Miller. I'm not going to lie, man.
Bro, back in my day, I wasn't balding. I'm balding, bro. That's something else. Anyways, let's do this. Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Is JT Miller about to have a Ryan Kesler-like impact on this series? Let's talk about it, baby. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into this episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it is your team every damn day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go subscribe, follow us, like us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Before we get into it, also got to shout out our friends over at Gametime. Looking for some tickets tonight? Make sure you go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. JT Miller and Ryan Kesler. You know, Ryan Kesler has said it himself in recent interviews that JT Miller is a better version of Ryan Kesler. And that begs the question, could JT Miller have a Ryan Kesler-like impact on this series? Let's look back at a bit of what Kesler did and look forward into Game 2 as we preview Game 2 on today's episode. Talk JT Miller. We'll also get into some of Rick Tocchet's takeaways from, well, it must have been a record-setting 21-minute press conference. You know, if for those casual fans out there, if a coach's press conference lasts more than 10 to 12 minutes is long, Rick Tocchet went on for 21 minutes yesterday. The dude loves talking hockey, and we love him for it here on Locked On Canucks. Like we said, we'll also preview Game 2 as well and tell you some things that you should watch for tonight. Let's get into all of that. But before we do, let me introduce my co-host. He's playing hurt. He's playing sick. He's here anyway because he loves the Canucks and he loves the people. Kyle Bound, I'm proud of you. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, man, I got a sore throat. I got that fever coming in. I got some short days at work on the horizon. But, man, oh, man, if the boys in blue and green are going to play hurt, then I got to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth. Speaking of playing hurt, I'm pretty sure JT Miller would do the same. He would. That guy's a gamer. In fact, he almost punched a hole in Pius Suter's chest after the Vancouver Canucks scored their third goal. Okay, for real. Go look at that highlight. Almost took him out. It was something else. What a gamer. The dude definitely loves winning. And I think more specifically, he loves the city of Vancouver. And it's ironic because, man, oh man, 15, 16 months ago, the city didn't really appreciate him as a whole. You know what I'm saying? And he heard the noise. And what did he do? He shut everyone up. And now here's this platform where he can do so much more. And we're kind of doing this, and that's comparing him to Ryan Kesler. Now, we've heard the comparisons for years, and especially over the last week, but I'm more than interested in seeing JT Miller take over a series. And I think it's possible based on what he did in Game 1 against those Predators.
Well, and here's why it's also possible, Kyle. I mean, you know, for those who don't remember maybe game by game what happened in that series, you know, Ryan Kesler had, you know, 1 assist through the first 2 games of that series. JT Miller, again, on the board in this series so far with an assist in Game 1. But it was really games 3 through 6 where Kesler absolutely took over, right? 10 points in 4 games. You know, so after his, you know, 1 assist in the first 2 games of the series, he had a 3-point night with 2 goals, a 3-point night with a goal and 2 assists, a 2-goal game, and a 2-assist game to wrap up the series. 10 points in 4 games. And again, some of those goals are the highlight reel variety. And again, getting under the skin of opponents as well. There was one of the games too where I can't remember which player it was, but I think he kind of chicken winged the stick a bit, drew a penalty, and ended up scoring on the power play with the Preds still complaining about Kesler drawing the penalty. And that's the kind of pain in the ass impact that Kesler had in the series. And that's the kind of pain in the ass impact that I think JT Miller could have on the series. And I think he started to have last night, right? Mm-hmm. I know the guys kind of joked about it in the locker room.
Two nights ago. Trevor, I know you're living in a mirage. You probably watched the highlights for 4 hours. I know you're used to watching other things at nighttime, but you were probably at 12 o'clock on your phone watching JTMillerHub.com, okay? For real. It was 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I was watching the Dakota Joshua goal over and over again, man. I live for moments like that. But
me too.
But yeah, again, JT Miller joked 2 nights ago now about how, there wasn't even a puck out there. They were just hidden. And JT Miller is a huge part of that, right? Just hitting guys, banging guys. And again, when I think about these two players, obviously Kesler was more of a POS to play against. Both are physical, both are tough, but Kesler just was so good at getting under the opponent's skin. JT Miller isn't on that level, but what JT Miller has over Kesler is the offensive creativity, right? Just one of the best playmakers in the game today. And Kyle, you mentioned it too. We've talked about these two players being compared for years and years, but it's really only over the last year where JT Miller again has morphed into this, a guy who belongs in the Selke conversation, quite frankly, in terms of his defensive game.
And the
just one of the
position
most
thing
well-rounded players in the NHL. Yeah, exactly.
Positional thing too. Sorry to cut you off. You're kind of cutting off for me, but the whole positional thing too. I think it makes more sense that this time around, not just comparing their passion meter, right? Because they've been playing with that passion this whole time. Now we're actually able to compare the players because of the position they play. And JT Miller, not too long ago, was a part-time center, a part-time winger. Real talk. And he was a full-time, I don't give a beep about defense. That's just the truth. And now he's doing everything. And it was a treat to see him do all that last game. It was a treat to see him be physical. And I, for one, think that we're about to see a breakout game from him. I think a lot of people are looking at Pettersson and hoping and praying that happens. But man, oh man, who led this team in points by a lot of points? It was JT Miller. And I think, I don't know, something is in the air, man. It really is. I feel as if the nerves, the jitter, the comfortability / uncomfortability with playing a playoff game, you can kind of like push that out the window. It's just going to be about hockey. And something tells me that the top tier team here, the Vancouver Canucks, are going to explode offensively. I feel like the power play is going to get going today. And I think JT Miller is going to lead the charge.
Yeah, I had that same kind of vibe too, Kyle. And again, it's because he set the tone in game one with his play. He was one of the best skaters on the ice. And, we kind of joked about doing some Canucks forward power rankings. And, obviously our list would be a bit different, but I think both of us would easily have JT Miller number one. He is the best forward on this team. Again, arguably the MVP of the team this season, although most people would pick Quinn Hughes. I still think it's a conversation. They both had such unreal impacts on this team. Actually, who would you pick right now? Team MVP? Would it be Pettersson or Hughes or Miller? If you're going to pick one.
Damn.
I
mean,
curious.
it's so hard to not pick Hughes because 90 points as a defenseman is like something that we can't just expect that from Quinn Hughes every year. Like what he did this year was effing magical. That being said, like how many bad games can you point out JT Miller played this year? Probably less than 3. I feel as if he was consistent from game number 1, even when the Canucks were struggling early, right? Against Tampa and Philadelphia. I remember talking about those games in the post-game show. Like, yo, the only guy who showed up was JT Miller. He's been the engine the whole time. And a part of me thinks that he's just trying to will this team into glory. And for the third time, I got to bring this up. I think I talk about this at least once a week in regards to JT Miller, but there's probably not another more motivated player in hockey based on the fact that when he left Tampa Bay, they built their dynasty. So this guy's thirsty for a Stanley Cup. And now you got to sprinkle on the fact that the city loves him and he loves the city and he just heard the noise. Again, we said this all the time. These players haven't heard Rogers Arena. They haven't heard Vancouver the way they should be hearing it. And they just did. And what did JT Miller do? He compared that moment to having kids and getting married. So something tells me that there's going to be a new level to his game tonight against Nashville. And if I'm a Predators fan, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, and one of the other interesting things from last night too, Kyle, is that we talked about it when we did our matchup episode, right? The matchups to watch for in the series that we expected JT Miller and Ryan O'Reilly to go head to head because that's what JT Miller's done all season long is go against the opposition's best players. Now he did have a bit of time against the Ryan O'Reilly line, but it seemed like Nashville wanted the Michael McCarron line out against him. And if you listen to the episode, we did the crossover with Ann Kimball from Locked On Predators. She mentioned that line, Michael McCarron, Cole Smith, and I'm actually forget Kiefer Sherwood as an identity line for the Predators, guys that bang and crash that do play against opposition's better players. But I think if you're the Vancouver Canucks, that's a matchup you want all day long, and it showed in game one because that line was dominant. They had some chances in the second to even put the Canucks up by a goal midway through that game. Again, if you're a Canuck fan, you want that matchup all day long. So I'm curious if the Preds go back to that tonight, or if it's home ice, so they don't have as much of a choice. But again, it just seemed like, Nashville Predators were comfortable playing that line against the JT Miller line, which surprised me for sure.
It surprised you, but their options are pretty slim based on the fact that and this is gonna, toot your horn and pump your tires, but it's has a lot to do with the centerman for the Vancouver Canucks. And you talk about Lindholm being a third line center now, right? So it creates like this matchup problem. Then you also have to take into account that the second best forward on the Vancouver Canucks is playing with Lindholm, and that's Connor Garland. So it creates all this chaos when you're trying to match up lines. And what that's going to lead to is having a team like Nashville having to put guys like McCarron against JT Miller because they don't have the arsenal to do any better. Shift in and shift out. And that leads to this point again. An offensive explosion is on the horizon. Straight up. I don't know about you, man. This is not me taking a shot at Nashville. I just feel as if the Vancouver Canucks are about to go off tonight and make things easy, okay? I really do. There's going to be an offensive explosion, okay? Let's get to the comments, okay? Look at Aaron Gray. Captain Aaron Gray, okay? Top 10 ball hockey player in all of Surrey, British Columbia, okay? Look at what he's saying right here. Miller's post-game interview was something else. I thought he was going to cry when he was talking about how passionate Canucks fans are in the playoffs. Let's go, okay? And Zarfy Bear with the comment as well, saying, let's go Canucks. And how about this one from Rich, okay? Dakota Joshua is like Dustin Bufflin. Oh, relax, buddy.
Oh my God.
Damn, dude. Damn,
Yeah,
bro. What a time, man. The playoffs,
ooh.
JT Miller, Ryan Kesler. Like, what's going to happen tonight, man? Yo, you think I'm stroking my ego too much this morning? Like, should I be aware right here? I know we're going to talk about game 2 throughout the episode today, but hear me out in the first 10 minutes of this game. I'm pretty much guaranteeing a 5-1 win. A lot of that has to do with JT Miller, though. I feel like what's that stat that you brought up when him and Quinn Hughes were on the ice together? Like, I feel like they're about to do something here.
Yeah, one of the reporters mentioned it. I cross-referenced it and it didn't seem as gaudy, but someone mentioned that JT Miller and Quinn Hughes at some point in game 1 had like a 99% expected goals and they're on the ice together now. That doesn't line up with the numbers I'm seeing. But with the eye test, I mean, when those guys are on the ice, look, they created one of the goals, the goal that tied the game, right? So, I mean, again, you got the two most dynamic players on the ice for the Canucks. When they are out there at the same time, it's a problem for the opposition. Now, I'll touch on it quickly before break. We will keep previewing game 2 throughout this episode here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. When I look at this Predators team, again, the Canucks, if the depth shows up, if they play as a team like they did in game 1, they're going to win the series and they're probably going to win it in short order. Now, the caveat there is I look at the Predators and really for me, it's Jussi Saros. Jussi Saros is an amazing goaltender. How often is this guy going to have back-to-back bad games? He didn't have a great game in game 1. I think the Canucks need to create more opportunities in game 2 if they want to win this game because I don't think Jussi Saros is going to have another bad game. So keep that in mind. We'll keep previewing this episode throughout the show. On the other side, let's touch on some of Rick Tocchet's, some of our takeaways from Rick Tocchet's press conference. Maybe we'll run a little Trevor's Notes presented by Kyle because I like the drop. Anyways, Locked On Canucks back on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Gametime. All right, you know the deal. Canucks playoff tickets might cost an arm and a leg, but one way to, find the cheapest tickets possible is to use Gametime, okay? Because with Gametime, you can get killer last-minute deals, all-in prices. When you're on the app, you get views from your seat, and of course, they got the lowest price guarantee, okay? Gametime, they've had my back for years because Nicole at Gametime always emailing me, teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. And right now, there's other stuff going on in the city, but I'm focused on those Canucks tickets, okay?
What the hell's going on in the city? What's going on in the city? Tell me one thing. I don't know. The Whitecaps are playing? Come on, man.
Pearl Jam is coming. I don't know if you heard about that, but May 4th, May 6th, and going to have to take it all down if it gets to Game 7.
Without me, baby.
I'm still alive. Yeah. They got a lot of great songs, man.
All right, great, man.
Anyways, no need to disrespect, man. It's all good. It's all
okay,
good.
My bad.
I don't know. I think Justin Timberlake's coming too. That was another scheduling snafu. JT, my least favorite JT in the world. Anyways, if you want Canucks tickets, JT tickets, Pearl Jam tickets, make sure you use Gametime. Again, they got the lowest price guarantee. So yeah, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download that Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
People, we back here at the Don't Doze Art Lab, sick and whatnot, talking about your Vancouver Canucks because it's the playoffs, and if I'm injured, I'm still playing. It's just the truth, man. Now, yesterday we talked about Dakota Joshua and that game 1 recap. I don't know. I don't think it's old news. I think you can watch that episode and still get a little, a little excited about it. Okay. And we had someone in the comments try to compare Dakota Joshua to Dustin Byfuglien. And I asked the question yesterday in the comments, who would you compare Dakota Joshua to? And here's the other side of this comment. And I know we're going to get to Rick Tocchett's press conference and whatnot in a few minutes, but I want to have this conversation with Trevor Beggs because, we're talking about the Canucks paying Dakota Joshua. Why haven't they paid him? Look what's going to happen now. They're going to have to pay him more if something happens, blah, blah, blah. If he excels in the playoffs, it's going to cost you $750,000 more, blah, blah, blah. Look, Dakota Joshua could be a Dustin Byfuglien-like player, right? That's just the truth. Or he could also be a Brian Bickle.
Brian Bickle, damn, that's an interesting comparison. I never thought of that one. Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say? It's like don't. Yeah, and this is another reason why I think teams across the league, especially good teams, are like, yo, let's not overpay or / pay these guys before the playoffs start because let's have these guys work for everything and still work for everything and still work for that new deal. Don't reward them, quote unquote, too early, which sounds like a pretty harsh thing to say because these guys are individuals and we're talking about their livelihoods, but there's some psychology around, again, rewarding people, quote unquote, too early. And you can make the argument that too early in this case is before there's any actual team success. I think Dakota Joshua being hungry for a new contract is going to allow him to do his thing at a degree which helps the Vancouver Canucks move forward in this year's version of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, yeah, go check out that episode. These comparisons with Dakota Joshua, they're really interesting. And at the end of the day, I just want to see him do more, which I think is fair to say.
Yeah, and honestly, this kind of ties into the Tocchet press conference a bit because he was asked about, which player reminds him of Dakota Joshua, and shout out to Gemma Carson-Smith from Canadian Press for the question. But Tocchet kind of said, "Great question." He's usually I have an answer, but I don't have an answer for you here. And he kind of joked that he didn't want to name the wrong guy because he didn't want to put that pressure on Dakota, or he didn't want Dakota to be mad at him for saying, I'm better than that guy. But yeah, even Rick Tocchet couldn't come up with a good comparable for him because Dakota Joshua is a very unique player. And I actually kind of like your Brian Bickle comparison. I do think Dakota Joshua has better hands, if you will. And I'm trying to remember Bickle killed a lot of penalties too. I just think that's another big part of Dakota Joshua's game as well. And again, we had a lot of Dakota Joshua talk on yesterday's episode. Guy is an absolute stud. He's almost even more of a stud than Rick Tocchet, who's probably one of the sexiest 60-year-olds out there, man. Look at that. Wow. Look at that neck, man. Look at that bald head, man. Yeah,
damn.
What do you worry about balding, man? Just look at Rick Tocchet, man. This guy's an absolute beauty.
Fair enough. That's true, man. That's true. Okay. If I'm balding, I could very much be the Hindu Rick Tocchet, which would honestly make my mom and dad proud. And also this is the case too. What can make them proud is my reading skills. And I'm about to read some of Trevor's notes on this episode of Locked On Canucks. Okay, Trevor's notes brought to you by Kyle. I'm going to try reading these notes. I just started reading 6 years ago, so bear with me, okay? What do you mean by this? Okay, the first note off the top is that there's too many set plays for Pettersson, okay? Explain what you're talking about here, because I'm not understanding it.
Yeah, sorry. I know my notes kind of jumbled there, but it was really just saying in general, there's too many set plays on the power play. You mentioned that, the group of guys out there, they like to have set plays. And we've seen that throughout the season. And when it works, it's great. It's like, oh, wow, look at that set play. Look at Miller calling plays off the draw. It obviously is a unit that likes to have set plays, but Rick Tocchet is saying there's too much of that going on. And it's hard to argue against it when you look at the success or lack thereof on the power play over the last few months. Rick Tocchet is basically saying that he thinks that there just needs to be more shots towards the net or shots that go into the corners, right? Because even if a shot misses the net and goes into the corner, it's often a 50-50 puck, and you can get that out front to one of the guys on the power play as well. So, basically he was kind of dancing around the question. What he meant to say is the power play is too cute. Stop being cute. It's the playoffs. Playoffs? It's the playoffs. Get the puck to the net.
Yeah, get the puck to the net. And, I mean, damn, I feel as if we're really having a Dakota Joshua talk 2.0 again. But, man, oh, man, how far do you think we are from seeing Dakota Joshua in front of the net on a power play? Because do we need Pettersson in front of the net? You know what I'm saying? Do we need that? Is that, you get what I'm saying, bro? He's just doing, the Daniel Sedin hop in front of the net. It's like, dude, that's not going to help anyone out. Real talk.
No, I honestly don't know if we're that far away from it. I mean, I think he had a game or two there. Was it in the Winnipeg game, maybe? Anyways, I think he's had a bit of time at the net front, maybe either on PP2 So no, I don't think we're terribly far away from it. I think they like Garland there right now, so that may be more of a power play 2 thing. But yeah, I mean, if the power play continues to flounder and not get their looks, and granted, Tocchet mentioned this as well, they had some looks. I think Pettersson missed the net on either a one-timer or a snapshot high from the slot. So, if they convert on their chances, it looks a lot better. But, in general, I agree with Tocchet. I think they are trying to be a little bit too cute on the power play. Look, there's some amazing talent there, but sometimes you just need to simplify things. And I think especially now in the playoffs, and when you have a power play that hasn't had success, you need to simplify things. Just get pucks on net.
Yeah, no, I'm with that right now. Straight up. Just the truth. Okay, we have the second note, and I think this makes more sense, okay? Pettersson and Höglander may have gotten off their game 5-on-5. Rick Tocchet talked about this, and I could kind of see it too. Both players may be overly excited, too much in the moment. Well, in the moment inside their heads rather than the moment on the ice, and it caused like just a little bit of inconsistency, shift in and shift out. Now, Pettersson, he also did invite 18 people to game 1, okay, from Sweden. That's a lot of pressure, man. Imagine your mom and dad watching you podcast every day, okay? You know what I'm saying? Imagine 18 of your closest family members. Imagine your wife was watching you know what I'm saying? 18 people, round 1, game 1. Relax.
Yeah, it's a bit different when you're just a basement podcaster. I mean, I'm in a bunker right now, believe it or not. But no, there's a lot of pressure on Pettersson, right? The guy's making the big bucks. He's in the media spotlight. He's not really a dude who seems to love the spotlight. It's really competitive. I found it interesting in this Elliot Friedman interview. By the way, can we talk about it for 20 seconds? I can't believe this guy did another interview with Elliot Friedman after all the crap that happened after his first interview with Elliot Friedman.
Me too, bro.
But
Honestly, bro, I hate that interview, man. Why is Pettersson when Elliot Friedman baited him talking about how it was somewhat of a deal for him to make more money than William Nylander and to be the highest paid Swedish player in the league? It's like, dude, don't even answer that question, okay? You don't need to tell the world that meant something to you, that you had to be the highest paid Swedish hockey player. I get it. You're a competitive dude, and at the end of the day, these guys are hardworking individuals, right? Like, everyone has different career goals and different standards and whatnot, right? We're not Elias Pettersson, but I would be careful with answers like that going into your first playoff series, okay? Avoid any questions that have anything to do with that, talk about the dollar amount that you're making. Straight up, dude. Friedman, man, relax. How about talk about some hockey stuff? You know what I'm saying? Come on,
Elliot Friedman. For anyone who watched Game of Thrones, Elliot Friedman is like Varys. He's just like, some people say, whereas Varys like, oh, I heard from the little birds. I hate that in interviews too. Like, some people say this. What do you think? I was like, shut up, man. Anyways, we're getting away from it. In terms of Pettersson and Höglander, Tocchet was basically saying that after a couple shifts, he thinks that they got frustrated and got away from their game. And this stood out to me because what did we hear after the game from so many Canucks? That despite the fact that they were trailing, they did not get away from their game. So, the Lindholm line, the defense, the Miller line, they all seem to just keep playing their game, not change because they were trailing. Whereas the Pettersson and Höglander line did seem to kind of change it up, get away from the game, get away from their rules after a couple of mediocre shifts, which I found interesting. And again, Pettersson, maybe be like the rest of the team and maybe you'll be all right.
Yeah. Dude, Pettersson, just wake up, dude. Dude, he's the catalyst, man. Not to speak too much about the Edmonton Oilers, but I don't see a scenario at all in which the Vancouver Canucks get past the Oilers in round 2 or any team in round 2 if Pettersson is playing this way. Can they get past Nashville? Of course they can. Why? Because they got AJ McCarron matching up against JT Miller. Do the math.
AJ McCarron.
But it's not. What's his name? AJ
Michael McCarron. Yeah, that's the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. That's hilarious.
So you know what I'm trying to say? They can. And even to this point, look at Ryan Hernandez. Pettersson also didn't hit anybody in that game. Like, I didn't even see that playoff type of effort from Pettersson, Defensively, he was fine. I saw the puck. Like, I just want to see him be more engaged the whole game. And it's like the mojo is just not there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll fire back on that for 10 seconds. I mean, I did see him hit. That was one of the only things I saw him do. I thought defensively he was fine. I did think he's often trying to do the reverse hit and body guys. Like, he doesn't know how to use his body a bit more. But his decision-making with the puck on his stick is just very un-Pettersson-like right now. And again, it's like I said, Canucks could get by Nashville, but they're going to need him at some point in these playoffs if they're going to go on a long run.
100%. Okay, the last note that you have here is what? Okay, you need to be better, or the team in general. Rick Tocchet talking to his penalty killing unit. You guys got to be better at clearing the puck, okay? Is that what I'm alluding to here? Like, or is he talking about clearing bodies in front of the net?
No, he's talking about clearing the puck out of the zone, and
Yeah.
he made the comment in the press conference that he thinks if the Canucks were better at clearing the puck out of their own zone, the penalty kill would probably be at least 2% higher during the regular season, and they'd be in that 80+% range, which would put them kind of in the middle to top half of the league, rather as in the bottom half where they are right now. And I kind of see what he's talking about, right? Positionally, this team is so much better than they were a year ago under Boudreau. So much better. This team was just like giving up left, right, and center. But sometimes when they do have the puck, they struggle to clear it out. And I'll give Tyler Myers a shout out because I think this is one area where he was really excelled in game one. I think he had a couple really big clears on the PK. But in general, I see what Tocchet is saying. I think he's completely right that, when they get the puck, like, do not miss your chance to get it out. And you're never going to be perfect, but they got to do a better job at getting pucks out on a more consistent basis on the PK.
Yeah. And another thing that has to happen on the PK is, I think, better deployment. Real talk. I think the second unit that came on after Joshua and Lindholm on that O'Reilly goal featured PDG, and PDG like barely played at the end of the season. I did not like that. But at the same time, I think Tocchet's hands were tied because, once again, who was taking a penalty? It was Teddy Bluger. If the PK wants to be better, Teddy Bluger has to stop taking penalties. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. Hopefully he doesn't take any penalties in game 2, which happens tonight in about 10 hours. I'm probably going to watch this game in bed. You know how much that's going to suck? I got to watch this game because I'm sick. Feel like ish right now, okay? Anyways, game 2 in a handful of hours. We'll break it down in a couple minutes after the break. Begsy, who you shouting out on this episode of Locked On Canucks?
All right, let's wrap up the show on the other side. Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel and Policygenius. All right, you know the deal, Bailey. Bailey, you know the deal, baby. It's the playoffs. Playoffs. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's also in full swing. Yeah. No matter what you're betting on, FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super duper easy to use. I had the odds in front of me. I don't have them right now. No surprise here. Your Canucks are favored to win tonight. They are favored to win. And Kyle, I don't know how many goals you feel like in this game, but the over-under for goals in tonight's game is 5.5. Again, two of the best goalies in the world. I think Star's going to have a better game. I believe in Demko. I'm not expecting a lot of high-scoring games in this series. It's never sexy to bet on the under, but that's just my 2 cents. But what are you waiting for, okay? Whatever you feel, don't listen to me, okay? Go do what you feel is best. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Boom, bam. Shout to FanDuel. One love to FanDuel. Boom, bam, boom, bam.
All right. Let's shout out Policygenius. They are the country's leading online insurance marketplace. They save time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net. Starting today with Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. No bending over when you sign up with Policygenius. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Your work life insurance policy may not be enough to cover your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. Dun, dun, dun. But make sure you talk to Policygenius because of this, okay? They got thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks, 10 hours away from playing Game 2, Round 1 at Rogers Arena, man oh man. Vancouver is Vancouver again. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Ballin doing our thing here on Locked On Canucks at the Don't Doze Art Lab. Hey, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And if you have hit the subscribe button, right now, hit the like button, okay? Honestly, it helps us out a lot, okay? If this video gets 14 likes, the Vancouver Canucks are going to win today, okay? It's just the truth. 14 likes. What up, baby? Speaking of what up, baby, I wonder if Rick Tocchet's going to press the button again, because I feel like it is totally a what up type of move, and that's the lotto button. Straight up, the lotto line saw a lot of ice time together, in my opinion, about 4 or 5 shifts, which is, something as Kyle is, not me, the other Kyle, who's commenting on the show today, Kyle Kilborn is saying, I want to know how much you guys think Tocchet is going to utilize the lotto line in times of struggle like game 1. Are they our best offensive line at this point? Who should be the go-to? I mean, I don't think they're the best offensive line right now. I think that goes to any line that Connor Garland is on, real talk, because they're just always in the offensive zone, straight up. And we're going to get to his line in a minute because we got to pump up Trevor Beggs' tires once again. But I definitely think that we are going to see the lotto line quite a bit, not only in this series, but in the playoffs. I think they're just a dangerous button. I think if they get 1 goal, there's a chance they'll get 3. And I think if the lotto line is able to have that momentum in game, I don't know if it can continue throughout like a 7-game series, but just for that one game, they can single-handedly win you a game. That's just my opinion.
Well, and Tocchet mentioned one thing during his press conference too about how it's his job to get Pettersson going, get him in the right mindset. I do think that the lotto line being out there isn't just that the Canucks can, create offense. Obviously, that's the main goal. But I think it's a sneaky ploy to get Pettersson going. Because like you said, Kyle, there's a lot of talent on the ice when those 3 are on the ice. And if they can get a goal together and, combine for a sweet goal, maybe that's what Pettersson needs to get going. Because, again, he hasn't been himself since the All-Star break. But before that, in January, when he played with the lotto line for a chunk of time, he had 13 goals in 14 games. It was the 3rd star in the month, right? So the guy's got it in him to be great, and he's done it with the lotto line before. Maybe that is the key to get him going.
Yeah, he just needs a little bit of swagger in his life, and you know how it is, right? You do something well on the ice, you just make a sexy play, it converts into a goal, the crowd is buzzing, and that's what it takes to get your legs moving. You know what? To take the positive out of all this whole Pettersson situation, at least we know he's not hurt. He's not hurt. He played game 82 against the Jets. He's not hurt. He'll figure it out. If this is all in between the ears, all he needs is a couple shifts, a goal or 2 to really get things going. Real talk, and hit the net. You alluded to those power play chances that he had in game 1. I think it was period number 3 where he had the one-timer that went over the net. Then he stole the puck, got the puck at the dots, and he shot it. That was actually a great save by Saros. That actually almost went in. And if that went in, how are we talking about Pettersson today, right? It's a fine line. Hey, speaking of a fine line, Lindholm, man. Lindholm down the middle with Connor Garland and Dakota Joshua. As Zarfi is saying in the comments, Beggsy did say Lindholm was going to shine. He also did say that the Canucks need to put Lindholm with Garland and Joshua. And now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, and I'm believing in it, okay? I believe more in Garland and Joshua in that regards. I feel as if they can go up against any line and just do their thing. But having Lindholm there creates this scenario where in the long run, you're going to open up time for Miller and Pettersson to do their thing against other lines.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing too. The narrative often is like, oh, with this 3rd line, they're going to get these great matchups and be able to, be more successful against softer competition. The Lindholm, Joshua, and Garland line was doing that against the Ryan O'Reilly line, right? When I listen to and read some of the talk from Nashville, it's about how their top line of O'Reilly, Nyquist, and Forsberg was ineffective in game 1 at 5-on-5. And a lot of that is because they played against the Lindholm line, right? So that line was doing their thing while playing against the opposition's best players. So that to me makes what they're doing even more impressive. And I got high hopes for that line. And, shout out to Zarfi for, shouting me out. But as Mark Helen comments, I was wrong all season long. So I got to be right once in a while.
Bro, I was wrong all season long too. If I was running the Canucks, Dakota Joshua would be playing for the Buffalo Sabres. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth, man. It's just the truth. Look at this comment from Buckets, okay? Pettersson might be playing with a nagging wrist injury. His shot is nowhere near peak Pettersson. I don't think so. Again, if you look at that highlight from game 1, Saros just robbed them. Pettersson had a hard shot from the dot, aiming for that far corner, didn't go in. Saros did his thing. And again, why is this organization playing Elias Pettersson in game 82 against the Jets when that game meant nothing if he has any bit of an injury? It's not an injury thing. It's just a confidence thing. If you actually want to say he's injured, I would believe that his ankles are hurt, because I'm with everyone talking about how Pettersson's just falling down every shift. That's a sign of not having confidence, not being strong on your feet, not being there. Real talk.
Hey, it's another game tonight, and maybe time to flip the switch. Okay, I mean, it's every game is a chance to write a new script, a new story, and Like you said, Kyle, the margins are thin and things can change in a second in these playoffs. I did want to touch on one comment here from Popeye Sailor before we get out of here. Popeye Sailor says, if the Canucks get eliminated, would you guys root for Edmonton? 5 assists for McDavid last night. I'm going to answer this simply. Not a chance in hell I'm rooting for the Edmonton Oilers in any stretch. I don't even want to think about who they might play, who I might want to in a scenario where I might cheer for them. No, there's no way I'm cheering for Edmonton. My coworker outside, she's a big Edmonton Oilers fan. There's no chance I'm cheering for Edmonton, okay? I'm a Canucks fan, okay? I look at Edmonton as a rival. I don't have this Canadian, like, oh, Canadian, let's win the cup script. I don't care about McDavid winning the cup. I want the Canucks to win the cup. I'm petty. I'm bitter. I do not want to see the Oilers win the cup. And guess what? Here's my mindset. Not only am I thinking about cheering for the Oilers, not a chance in hell that's happening. I'm thinking about this. The Canucks and the Oilers are both 3 wins away from playing each other in round 2. I don't want to talk about it too much, but man, oh man, it's been on my mind for months. That is the story we want to see. And let's get there, baby. Locked on Canucks, your Canucks every day. Whoever they play, we will be there. Kyle, anything to say to the people before we get out of here?
Of course, man. I just want to say thank you so much for not throwing me under the bus. You could have ran me over with your Mazda 3, right? Reading that comment, because again, 14 months ago, I was cheering for McDavid. You know that. I thought it would be good for the league if that guy won a Stanley Cup, and the Canucks weren't good, and they were been so bad for so long, and we didn't get Bedard, and I'm thinking, okay, the Canucks are going to be bad for a long time. It made me soft, really soft, and there I was again, not cheering for the Oilers, but I was cheering for Connor McDavid. And fast forward to the now, man, oh man, I feel like the biggest phony Hindu in the world. Luckily, though, I read a lot of Deepak Chopra, and forgiveness is the key. I hope, Trevor Beggs, you can forgive me for saying all those things. I think you kind of did, because again, you had your chance to, you had a chance to kick me in the balls there in front of all the people, and straight up, and you didn't, because you're just a good guy, man. Anyways, Locked On Canucks, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, have a lot of fun tonight. Hey, if you're looking for a place to talk Canucks during the game, join the Discord. Link is in the bio. One love to Bagsy for being a good friend, and again, not running me over with this Mazda 3. Sign us out.
All right. Hey, shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who join us here on the live YouTube show. Whether you're joining us live, whether you're listening to after the fact, it don't matter. We appreciate the heck out of you. You listening are what makes Locked On Canucks what it is. And Kyle and I plan on being here, your Canucks, every day for eternity, but especially for what hopefully is a long playoff run. Game 2 tonight. Of course, I think the Canucks are going to win. I feel like they're going to win every game. But I expect a better game from Missy Sorrow, so they better hit the net and create some more offensive opportunities. Okay, but let's get out of here. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back tomorrow because it's your Canucks every day. And Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, and once again, you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver